Iranian naval forces conducted rocket tests awfully close to U.S. military vessels and commercial ships. This in the Strait of Hormuz, the entrance to the Persian Gulf. And the U.S. is qualifying this as a provocation, something that the Iranian revolutionary forces shouldn't be doing at a moment where we just reached an agreement, a nuclear agreement, a kind of moment of appeasement in between the two countries. But the details are very clear. The launching of these unguided missiles was obviously not directed to any of the ships, but it was awfully close, only 1,500 yards away from the USS Harry Truman. Along this group of boats, of vessels that were in the area, was also a French frigate that is escorting the Charles de Gaulle and another U.S. ship, the Buckley destroyer, and they feel that they shouldn't be doing this type of testing. Only 23 minutes of advance notice.
Only 23? Well, yes. At least they did give some advance notice. That's at least nice of them. Well, look, I see it nothing more than just some saber rattling, the Iranians flexing their guns, flexing their muscles, because, it is awfully close to an American ship. But look, let's think of another country that isn't Iran, for example, like Philippines, for example, another country that we get very close to in the sea a lot of the time. They're our biggest allies in the South China Sea. What if it was them doing this kind of test? Would we have the same reaction? Probably not. I mean, they gave a warning. They're just doing a test. Do I agree that they should be doing it that close to a huge, carrier like this? No. But at the same time, I don't think there was any bad intention there.
Yeah, Commander Kyle Rains thinks that this was irresponsible, that it's inconsistent with international law, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. In contrast, the French officials in the lowdown, without being public about it, they say, well, we are not really that concerned because we know that this test was not directed to any ship or was intended to harm, so they were doing only tests. But the U.S. feels that it's not conducive to the communication and to the new state of the bilateral relation where we are trying to bridge the gap and by the nuclear agreement start new relations. They feel that they shouldn't be testing so close to the vessels. Now, this route is critical because nearly 30% of all the oil trade that travels through sea goes through this route. This is the main access to the Persian Gulf, where most of the Middle Eastern oil comes from. And it's critical for Iran. Iran is right in between Iran and Oman. And for them, it's always been something that they wanted to block, something that for them is a geopolitical weapon. If they were able to close that access, they will be controlling a lot. But it's not the first time we actually have a little disturbance in the area.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. It's not the first time. So I think it's more about the history of these two countries than it is the actual testing itself. I mean, you go back to the 80s, for example, was it not the U.S. that destroyed all these oil fields, 2 oil rigs? We shot down an Iranian airliner or 2, mistaking it for a militant aircraft.
Same year, 1988.
Exactly. So I think it's more about the history. I mean, it's more about it being the Iranians. But you're right. Maybe when we're trying to warm relations, it's not the best to do testing so close to American aircrafts.
Yeah, well, the U.S. military feels that the recent rocket test on guided missiles that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard took place this week, they don't feel that it's a conductive way after the nuclear deal for these two countries to relate to each other.